so today I have such a privilege to just be here with Raymond and Carol. I will call them Uncle Raymond and Auntie Carol because, that's the Chinese culture, honoring, respecting. And can you share just a little bit of background of, kind of when you came to America or, where you guys are from? Yeah.
My dad happened to be visiting his cousin in Macau. Actually, probably about 49, before they closed the border. The communist Chinese were already in power, and he was visiting cousin, and he was about to go back home, but he got a telegram from his father, my grandfather, and he said, all it said was, "Don't come back." That's it. And he could have listened, and he could have or not listen, right? So he had two choices. So he decided to listen to that message, and he stayed. So if he had not stayed, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. Yeah, because my mom was also trying to escape at that time. It was, lots of poverty. There's hard to. People were hungry and starving. She had made an attempt to cross the river at Songchun. At least twice, and got arrested and sent back, and so it's pretty dramatic kind of a story. Yeah, so I immigrated here when I was 7 years old in 1967, the year where there was riots in Hong Kong. Yeah, it was the whole Cultural Revolution, and I came here to San Francisco. And grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. Ended up going to UC Berkeley and finished my degree there. And soon after, got some more training in my profession. And then subsequent to that, we got married. And
awesome. How about you, Auntie?
My father, 100% Cantonese, came from Guangzhou, Canton.
Toisan.
Oh, Toisan.
Toisan, yeah.
Is it Toisan?
At 7.
Wow.
And he helped his father in the laundromat. When he became a young man, he joined the Air Force. My parents began a journey of 7 years of letter writing.
Oh, wow.
You can see their love relationship evolving in those letters. At the end of 7 years, they married and they left Jamaica and the Air Force and began life in San Francisco. My mom is Chinese Jamaican.
Wow, that is so unique.
She's a nurse.
How did you become Christian? Because obviously, Chinese culture is usually Buddhist, not Christianity.
I feel like you can say it's a blessing in a way, because my mom and dad, I remember very vividly, the very cultural things in Hong Kong, especially when my grandparents passed away, all the rituals and things around burning incense and things like that. When we were at his funeral, it's still in my mind, even though I was only probably about 4 or 5 years old. So for me, I went to school. It's kind of interesting. Back in the early 70s, I lived in San Francisco's Chinatown, North Beach, right at the border there. And the majority of immigrant kids, they went to public school.
Right.
And then after school, they went to Chinese school. Chinese school was usually like 3:30 or 4 till 6:30. So
right, until dinner time.
Until dinner time. Where we went to Chinese school, where I went to Chinese school, was Cumberland Presbyterian Church. So many of the Chinese schools were held or sponsored by churches in Chinatown. Because it was a Christian school, all the teachers were Christians. So they shared, of course, the gospel during certain periods of time. And then, of course, the traditional Chinese language classes, the calligraphy, and all those things that are common. That didn't grab me at all. And so I went on to junior high. It was fun times. We actually stopped going to Chinese school. And there were two friends of mine that I was close to, two lady friends, and both of them witnessed to me in high school and invited me to go to church. And, oh, why don't you come to church? I said, I don't know, the usual, maybe, kind of put him off, maybe so. And then I finally succumbed to that and decided, okay, I'm just going to go. And it turned out that both of them were at Cumberland Presbyterian. So it was a full circle. So I said, I used to go to school here. Because I was very much into the sciences, I had all these questions, right? Well, why this, why that? And some of the, older teachers there, helped answer some of those questions, and actually many of the questions. And I think it was just a time I just remember kind of making sense, although I don't know all the answers.
Right, yeah, kind of like slow and steady.
Yeah.
Just learn a little bit more and kind of knew God more and had more faith, just kind of grew. Yeah,
it grew from there just over time. It wasn't something dramatic like some conversions were.
And then Auntie Carol, for you,
we didn't have Christ in our lives for many years, and my three brothers and myself grew up without Christ, and so we were influenced by the culture, and we, of course, smoked cigarettes, and my brothers smoked pot, and we fought and argued in our family. My parents were not unaccustomed to arguing and slamming doors in our family and just having rebellious kids. I know this is very unlike the controlled Chinese family. So one by one, in different parts of the state of California, because of the prayers of my youngest brother, who went to a private Christian school, we came to faith. And I saw how each member of my family literally changed to having peace, to honoring one another, to respect. And because a pastor had told me I was going to hell, I was very angry about Christianity. And I thought, what is hell? How does he know I'm going to hell? Who does he think he is? And so I refused to get involved in this Christianity. So judgmental. Who do they think they're, making judgments of? And the key person was my father, my Chinese father from China. Hardworking, provide for the family. When I saw him cry and being circled by the other members of the family and prayed for and just weeping, just tears, I thought, wow, my father would never do this, never. And I was really touched by the evidences of seeing changed people in my family, and I was the last one. Finally, one day after college, on a Friday, I was invited to a concert, and I didn't know it was a Christian concert. And for the first time I heard Christian worship music. It was different. It was music that was refreshing and something I'd never heard before. And that night, when the pastor asked us to pray to invite Christ into our lives, I saw the cross of Christ in my eye vision so strong before me. And when I accepted Christ and gave all my sins, I felt a ton of bricks. It was like the weight of a house lift from me literally very dramatic. And then I opened my eyes and I started seeing in 3 dimensions, colors and dimensional. I mean, I'd never seen that way before, and I don't see that way right now, but this was my conversion experience. So I knew that there was something very different about this gospel message. And it talked about the heart of stone. I could never understand where my heart is before, but I felt this sensation of, you can call it water, you can call it the river of life, you can call it the Holy Spirit, but I sensed that coming out of my being for the first time, September 25, 1981. I will never forget that evening. Very dramatic.
That's really powerful. You know, I really love the stories of just, I think even, you know, the different process that you guys came from. I think it's so beautiful.